this show? Good times, good times! Hey, what's up everybody? This is VisitJoan and welcome to Trading Spaces, the show. Okay, no, this is not Trading Spaces. What this is kind of a tribute to the show in Sims fashion. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Trading Spaces, like The Sims, got its start in 2000. And it quickly became the hit that kicked off the whole home renovation craze of the early 2000s. The concept of the show was fairly simple. You give a couple sets of neighbors 2 days and $1,000 to redo a room in each other's home. And as you might expect, some of the rooms were amazing, some of them were meh, and some of them were just downright awful. Like, what were they thinking? But no matter how good or bad these rooms were, a lot of them were memorable just because they were either so awful that we've never seen anything like it before, or they were, so good that they earned a special place in our hearts, or because they were just so out there that, you can't help but not remember it. And this was also the show that taught me that my mom and I have two completely different tastes when it comes to interior design. In fact, she said that all the rooms in a couple of years were gonna look dated. And now that it's been 20 years since the start of the show, my mom was absolutely right. Some of those rooms do look dated. Now, this room has to be my favorite throughout the entire show. This was designed by Hildy Santo Tomas, and Hildy was notorious for probably being the worst designer on the show. But for me, she was really just hit and miss. I like some of her designs, and some of her designs were just like, what were you thinking? Okay, I'd be okay with sand on the floor of my living room, but I'm not gonna put that in somebody else's house.
So this room was, relatively easy to do just because it's a simple room design. It's actually based off of, a Tiffany box. So, I tried to find the closest color that I could to what was actually in the room. And, I had to, it's The Sims. I'm only so limited. And so I couldn't use a bed with dark wood bedpost, so I had to go with this one, which I normally don't use just because I kind of find it old-fashioned and kind of ugly. But yeah, I also didn't really like this window curtain, but it was the only one that looked anything like what was in the actual room, so there you go. Now, what I did for the swirls that were on the walls was I actually took those, oh my goodness, whatchamacallits, those decoration string things from Seasons, and I just put those all over the walls just to make it look like there were, airbrushed stuff there. The actual painting here was, half blue and half silver, but, to me, at the angle that I was looking at it, it kind of looked like a beach, so I stuck the beach painting there, and you know what, I don't know, maybe it does look good in this room. I really don't think anything could look better. I thought about doing the blue things from Cats and Dogs, but it just, I don't know, it just didn't do it. It was too blue against blue, so I figured, the beach room would be perfect for that. So, beach room. See, I'm losing it already. But this room, pretty much came together with no problems, and, I'm just happy about that. It was a good first one to do just because it was really just kind of simple, and it is an actual functional room, There were plenty of rooms from this show that actually look cool, but are not really good as rooms, like the upside down room. And you are all probably wondering what the heck I'm talking about, aren't you?
The next room I did was the Art Deco theater designed by Doug Wilson. Now, Doug Wilson quickly got a reputation in our house because my mom could not stand this guy or any of the rooms he designed. But if I'm being completely honest here, I love this room. Okay, maybe not for my living room, but if I had an extra room in my house, go for it. Maybe it's just me liking stuff that's just completely unconventional, but I really like the idea of a room being turned into a theater.
Okay, this room was a challenge because, well, first of all, I had to figure out how to get the TV to hang from the ceiling and it was a little TV because, this was the early 2000s and nobody had big screen TVs back then. But I finally found these these light poles that came with toddler stuff, and I'm these actually work well as rope hanging from the ceiling. So I kind of put those from the ceiling, and then I chose the little trophy case to house the TV because I figured, you know, it was actually big enough and it looked comparable to the actual thing that was used in the actual room. So I figured, you know what, that would be the best. I know you probably wouldn't want to watch TV through like a wall or screen, but it's The Sims, guys. Like, I'm not gonna, you know, it's little details, and I'm already limited. I'm not gonna, you know, not put something there because it doesn't look exactly the way it should, but anyway. Next thing I had to figure out was the seating, and, you know, as you could see, it was, you know, actually layered like an actual theater. They actually, if I'm remembering this correctly, they actually built, whatchamacallit, like these wooden boxes so they can put the chairs on them. And at first I didn't think I was going to be able to do that. But then I remembered Mr. Oaken, it was Mr. Oaken, when he was redoing Don Lothario's house in The Sims 4. He used basically steps, or no, it wasn't steps, it was shelves as steps in the pool. So I'm thinking, you know what? I could probably use these shelves as like, you know, these like wooden blocks and stuff. So, you know, I was able to size them up and it actually worked pretty well. And I had to screw around with like, you know, the sizing of it just a little bit. But, you know, once I got that right, it was perfect for this room. And thankfully the half wall heights are on the same increments as the you know, the shelves when you put them on the wall. But yeah, so it was able to mesh together absolutely perfectly, and honestly I couldn't have found a better fit. I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to do that. I am so proud of myself that I figured that out, but I spent a lot of time just screwing around, just trying to get everything placed exactly right to make it look like, because I had the TV in the center, or it had to be in the center, but, and at one point, you know, the shelves were, like, overlapping the walls, and I'm like, you know what, if I shrink them down one more level. So I tried that, and it worked completely. Like, I was able to fit all three of the back chairs in there and just shrink the room down a little bit. Now, what I wasn't able to do was able to put the rug on the, you know, the steps, the shelf steps, but it's not that big of a deal, guys. Like, oh well, there's not going to be a rug there. But anyway, what else I did is I was trying to figure out what these, like, things were, because I was looking at, you know, just there weren't any good pictures of these rooms. I actually had to get a book from Amazon that had like all of the episodes and just had better pictures of the rooms, just so I could see them and see what they actually looked like, you know, because the books I have just didn't cut it. And I kind of want to get some of the other books too, but anyway, back to back to this room. Yeah, so I was trying to figure out what those were, and I'm like, wait a minute, maybe those are like, those are popcorn machines. So what I did is I took a couple of island counters and then put like the popcorn machines on there. So yeah, your Sims can have popcorns. Of course, this room is totally not functional. Well, the first two rows are, but the other parts of it aren't. It's just for looks, but you know what? I wanted to do it, so I did it. I'm so glad I figured it out. I'm like really proud of myself here. Also, I couldn't put drapes all over the entire room just because they would get in the way of the lights and, you know, stuff like that. So, yeah, it's not perfect, but hey, it's good enough.
Fun fact for you guys, Doug Wilson actually went to the same university as my parents. Now, this next room is a kitchen designed by Genevieve Gorder. And Genevieve is probably one of the more tasteful designers on the show. In fact, she's gotten quite a name for herself since the Trading Spaces days.
So this room was inspired by an artichoke, and Jen actually took out the artichoke in the show and opened it up to see, you know, to show where she got the color from. There's just like this little purple color at like, I don't know, like the bottom of the artichoke. So she painted the room like eggplant purple, but I think it really goes well with this room because the cabinets are pretty much white. Or in the picture I was looking at, the cabinets looked white. When I got another picture to put in the video, they actually were like a sage green, but you know, there's only so much we can do in The Sims. There's no color wheel, so I can't, you know, put the sage green on there, so I just made do with the white. And another thing I distinctly remember about this room is that for the dining table, they put slip covers over the chairs, and they actually took a picture of like each family member. So like, the mom had her own chair, the dad had his own chair. They even put like a little baby's face on the little high chair. And when they were talking about, when Jen and Paige were talking about the room, they actually put the slipcovers on and just started like, this is what's gonna happen when we reveal our room. And it was actually kind of funny. I didn't really have any problems doing this room, except for, the counters, that, the corner of the counters, which I still don't even know how to do that or how to make that look good. I'm just, oh my goodness. But, other than that, it went pretty well. It took me a while to decide the chairs, though, so yeah, that's gonna be it.
This next room was a living room in Key West, designed by Frank Bialik. Now, my aunt really happened to like Frank a lot, and I kind of agree that his taste was really good. Every room of his was to my taste, but he didn't do anything dear god awful.
So this room was actually in the first episode I ever saw of this show, and I guess it was kind of a confusing episode to start out on, just because, like, Frank kind of didn't know what to do with the room, and so the homeowners took charge. So it really made it seem like those commercials they were showing where they have like the wrestler and the little girl switch rooms and they each redecorate the rooms to their taste. So that's kind of what I thought the show was going to be. And then when my mom said, well, the designers designed the room, and I was kind of disappointed at that. But you know what? I think it actually kind of works out better that way. So, yeah, but this room had like a Caribbean theme. And I chose to do this one because, well, yeah, it had the sentimental value, but also because I could use those chairs. But anyway, for the there was like a shelf on like an angle there. So what I did is I put the shelf on there, and then I deleted the wall and then moved up the stereo. And they added like a telephone table, which I don't even know what that is. But there was also, like a hand-painted mermaid, and I couldn't really put that over the sliding doors, so I just put it over, like, the closet door. And I really had problems, like, managing space in this room. Like, I was trying to do the size and stuff like that.
Now, last but not least, we have another room designed by Doug Wilson, and this is the bedroom of a train enthusiast. So Doug decided to turn the thing into a Pullman car, which, like I said before, I love that idea. I think it's just really cool. It's something unique, it's unusual, and you don't see it. And living in a room like that would make everyday life interesting, which I desperately, desperately need.
This room was one of the more easier ones. It didn't take that long to complete it all. Again, I did have some problems with sizing originally, but it came together pretty quickly. So. But the image I was using, and I actually, like I said, I got a book to see better images, but the images weren't all that great quality, but, at least they were something I could look at. But, I was looking at a different angle than the image you see in this video, so, yeah, it's going to look a little bit different because I kind of have to guess on what's not shown because, I kind of wanted to just pull out my VHS player and pop in the tapes from back in the day where we recorded it, but that's really just not going to work. But some things that wasn't able to put in this room was that there were actually rounded ceiling corners, but there's no way you can do that in The Sims. And there were faux walls and like faux windows, and I just used the painting for that.
So how do you think I did on the rooms? Do you like them? Do they need improvement? Or do you think I just picked horrible rooms to begin with? You can let me know in the comments below. But if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate you leaving a like because I plan on doing another one of these sometimes because there are more rooms I want to redo. Anyway, all of these rooms are available on the gallery. My ID is VisitJoan, and as always, if you want to see more, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at VisitJoan if you want to see fun facts, behind the scenes, just stuff like that. Or if you want to look at my thoughts on all things Sims related, you can always follow me on Twitter at VisitJoan Videos. But anyway, I'm going to get up out of here. Bye, everybody!